design with the young family.
So which do we like better? Obviously.
The greener one. The port.
This one's had a rough life.
Hey everyone, Ryan Young, KAATARO Jiu-jitsu. I hope you're doing well. Black belts. Who can be one and who cannot be one? Now ultimately that's the determination of the federation or the organization under which you as a practitioner lie. So if you're an IBJJF competitor and your school and your professor ranks according to their criteria, then you're going to be what they say you're going to be. Here at KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu, we fall under the JJJF. The Jiu-Jitsu Global Federation is run by Hicks and Gracie, and we take whatever he says for the criteria is for black belt, we're going with him. So as an example, it's a little bit different than the traditional. The traditional, as I said in other videos, the traditional standard is, these are, let's say these are degrees on your belt. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12 years to 6th degree, and then you wait 8 years, you get your coral belt. Now it's 3, 6, 9, 14, 19, 24. 7 more, so it's 31. So the old system was 20 years to coral belt, now it's 31 years to coral belt, which makes it longer to get that same belt. The thing is, the black belt is really the most important belt really that people seem to talk about the most. It's not really the most important, but it's most important to people like you and me for a little while, because you're always wondering, because you want to see what your goal is. You want to see, can I be a black belt? Can I ever earn one? And can this person earn one? Can this person earn one? Let's kind of back off a little bit and say, who can earn one? Well, first of all, kids cannot earn one. Now, I know other martial arts will award black belts and red belts for that matter. Red belt doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to one martial art as it does to another. So for jiu-jitsu, a red belt means you are a grandmaster and you've been a teaching black belt for between 40 and 45 years, depending on the organization you're with. But you can be a kid in Taekwondo and you can earn a red belt. And I think the red belt comes before the black belt. On the other hand, in a lot of martial arts systems, kids can earn black belts. And I think that's, just straight black belt. Then you go so many years till you get your first degree or second degree where, you have to be an adult to earn degrees in a black belt. So I think at the end of the day, it all catches up. But with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you cannot get a black belt under the age of 18. And I think with the IBJJF, it's 19. And the kids' belt colors run up until the 16th birthday of the child. So it's white, yellow, orange, green for us. And at 16, they either get the blue, which is the first adult belt, or the purple. So it depends on to what level they are. From green, they can go to blue or they can go to purple. But still, no black belt until 18 at the earliest, because then that would mean at 16, they get the purple, at 17, they get the brown, at 18, they get the black. So 18 would be the absolute youngest you could get a black belt as a kid. So that's typically what a Gracie family member would have gone through. Most of them were black belts by the time they were 18. Most, not all, but most. But kids are out of the question. On the other hand, here's another one that might interest you. I think, and I could be wrong here, I think that Elio and Carlos Gracie never made room for women to earn a black belt at all. They couldn't even earn a brown belt. Purple belt was the highest belt they could earn. And I think the first family member that's a black belt is Kira. And I think she's the first Gracie family member who became a black belt. I know Hickson's wife, the last I heard, Hickson's ex-wife now, Crone's mother, she got up to brown belt last I remember. I don't remember anything, I don't know anything past that. So she may have earned a black belt at some point or not, I'm not sure. But I know she got up to brown belt. But I know that, if I'm not mistaken, the Gracie Academy, and things may have changed since a period of time, but I know Jorge Gracie, he had a thing that women couldn't earn more than a purple belt. But the Machados, they would award black belts to females. So what's this whole thing about black belts for females? Can a female earn a black belt? And if you ask me, the answer is yes. And here's the reason. Because one of the reasons why they might say a female can't earn it is because the female's not gonna necessarily fight, not in like a Vale Tudo type of setting. And if they do, it's probably better to put your smallest man into the fight versus your biggest, strongest female into that fight. So that being the case, if the females weren't fighting, that might be a reason that they could not earn a black belt. So what's my thinking on that? I don't expect that women are gonna fight. They can if they want to. You know, they do in MMA today. But as far as to represent the school, as far as a fight, probably not. But yes, and the reason why I think they can earn a black belt and be a black belt is because as a black belt, if they can pass knowledge on to a man who will then qualify to be a black belt, then yes, the only way that the man could be a black belt by learning the correct information and the concepts and everything from a woman, then that would mean the woman would have to be a black belt by default. It only makes sense that a woman can be a black belt. We talk about equivalence. So in training and sparring, a black belt woman is equal to a purple belt man. You know, that might be one that you might have heard. That's one that I've heard many times. If we go back to the secret formula of jiu-jitsu, which is your game is equal to the sum of your physicality plus your technique, then, you know, the typical weakest man will have more strength than the average woman. Now, you may have a super strong woman who will have more strength. There would be some overlap. But at the end of the day, a man and a woman of the same size, the man will have much more horsepower behind him. It's just nature. That's just the way it is. But that doesn't preclude a woman from ever earning a black belt. Same thing that, you know, to go with that logic, that would say that a small guy like Helio Gracie or Carlos Gracie, who's even smaller, they as men would not be able to earn a black belt because they'd go up against bigger, stronger guys. Now, if that bigger, stronger guy is just as technical as Helio or Carlos will get smashed every time. If they don't get smashed, it's because they are as technical, or more so rather, to make up for the physicality difference. So what you're doing is you're expecting the smaller guy to have a much higher level of technicality to achieve black belt versus a bigger guy. Conversely, you're not expecting as much of a technical level of expertise on a big guy to earn a black belt if you're only going off of the G, meaning the ultimate game that they can produce. So yes, women can and should be black belts if they go through the process of earning the black belt. You know, the lifestyle transformation, the obsession with the art, and just having, you know, pushing your body to the point of limit, to the point where you hit your limit, and, you know, even to the point of breakage sometimes, right, where you get injured. Everybody who's a black belt, if they haven't undergone multiple injuries training, then you really weren't pushed all that much. In which case, then I might either say you're the luckiest person on earth, in that you would push and not get injured. You know, you could be the most durable person, or you really just didn't go through what you needed to go through to earn it. For instance, like with Ginny, you know, woman that trains under us here at KAMA, she's had a rib separation. She's had her ACL torn. There might be a couple of others that I can't think of offhand. You know, she works it. I mean, she really wants it, and she trains hard. She trains just as hard as any guy. The difference is that she's 5'5", 5'6", and about 135 pounds. I mean, she's just tiny, and she's small framed versus a man, you know, so, but, you know, relative to what she has to offer, she's putting it out there just as much or even more so than a lot of the men that come to the class. At some point, if she continues on, she will be a black belt, no doubt in my mind about it. But she's paying her dues now, just like everybody else would. So a woman who pays her dues should be able to earn the belt just as easily as a man who pays his dues. For a man who's got a lot of physicality, he needs to work even harder in the technical part, because his physicality can buy him a lot of time and can get him out of bad situations in a way that would not work for smaller individuals or women for that matter. You know, I think a lot of it has to do with being able to teach jiu-jitsu and to be able to train and coach people and get them up to the next level. Has a lot to do with wisdom. And wisdom only comes through experience. Kids don't have wisdom. They just don't. So there's no way that you could, in my mind, offer, even make a possibility for a kid to be a black belt, because they may have technical skill, but they still have zero wisdom because they haven't lived long enough to develop wisdom. Now, some people would say that a black belt should be able to teach. And I want to say yes and no to that, because not all black belts are cut out to teach. But they are black belts, right? You put them on the mat and you train, and they're very good. They're excellent, but they just cannot convey thoughts in a way to convince someone to do what they need to do, right? You might have heard me say in another video, or it might have been on one of the Patreon videos, that the most valuable skill to have in teaching jiu-jitsu is sales skills. Because if you have sales skills, your student will buy that knowledge from you. Buy, not in a transactional format, but buy as in, yes, I believe what you're telling me and I will do what you're telling me to do. If you cannot sell that to your student, that makes you a horrible teacher, right? If none of your students believe you, if you tell them do something and they're just like, and they go and do something else, they may do something another instructor showed them. Why? Because that other instructor was able to give them a good reason why they should do that, whereas you weren't able to give them a good reason as to why they should do what you're telling them to do, which means that your sales skills are not that good, right? You're not able to convey to your student why they need to do something. You not only need to show them the how, you need to show them the why. You need to justify what you're telling them. And that skill comes with wisdom. Now, yes, you do have those kids that are natural salespeople, but most people are not natural salespeople. Most good coaches today are not natural salespeople. They develop that skill over time through wisdom, and wisdom comes through experience in life. So the black belt to me denotes a certain level of experience. Children just don't have it, but women do. Women can and do have it in spades. They may have a different style, but they can still get you to do what they want you to do. And if you have a female instructor, right, like we have with Ginny, and she's teaching a class today, and she was teaching Secret Service guys today. Big dudes, big strong dudes who have a lot of experience in self-defense and in protecting the president and other dignitaries. So here she is, a 135-pound woman teaching them, and they show up to her class without fail. They don't go, oh, well, it's Ginny's class, so I'm not gonna come. They come because it's Ginny's class. She is able to convey over to them the knowledge she has to them, and she can correct them, and they listen to her, which is why we use her as an instructor, because she knows her stuff. And in fact, it's not uncommon for her to correct some of our other junior instructors. So for those of you that are wondering if you can earn a black belt, and let's say you're a little guy like me, yes, you can, right? It may take a little bit more diligence on one part, right? So I have to, on my path, I had to fight through big guys. I didn't care how big they were. My mindset was always, if a big guy came in, I'd always be the first one over there. And if they're on the mat, it's like, let's go. They're like, who is this little guy? But that was me. To me, I had to prove to myself that I could train with big guys. On the other hand, a big guy, his journey would have to include finding a way to do things in a relaxed manner that would use his weight but not his strength. Because there's always gonna be a guy who's bigger and stronger than you, at which point you're gonna have to dig deep into your technique to be able to fight that strength. If all you're doing is using strength, when you do come across that guy who's bigger and stronger, it's not gonna work. So one of my instructors, strong guy, but his technique is not the sharpest because he's been in and out due to injuries and work and all that. But I did take him down to a seminar that I did, and his partner, this is a blue belt instructor, junior assistant, and his partner was a purple belt who was 100 pounds more than him. Actually, I take it back. He was about 150 pounds more than him. So because this junior instructor of mine is used to using his strength and his power, and I keep telling him, stop it, do this, and he would try, he'd give it a good effort. It never really came to him until he had a 400-pound guy who was very good at cross-side and holding people down in that position, very good at holding him down, to which he got stuck, and he just could not get out because he's used to using his strength, and his strength just wasn't enough against a guy who was 150 pounds more than him. On the other hand, Ken, another one of my instructors, he's my assistant instructor, who's going to be running our Austin campus, by the way. He went up against that same 400-pounder, and he's smaller. He's 190 pounds against a 400-pound guy, and he slipped right out like it was nothing. But that's because his technique is much more sharp. So when you really think about it, the smaller people have a reputation for being the most technical people to train under. So that's what you call small man jiu-jitsu, right? Small man jiu-jitsu versus big man jiu-jitsu, it's different. There's less power involved in the small man jiu-jitsu. And most women, they teach, they do small man jiu-jitsu. They just had no choice but to. Especially if they came from a school where there weren't very many women around. Those women that like to stay in the women-only classes, I don't know if they develop the same level of technicality because they never really have to deal with a lot of power and strength because they go to the women's only classes and they hardly have any exposure to the men, the power and the strength that the men possess. They don't ever have to learn to deal with that and to figure out a solution to get out of a bad situation. When you're training with other women, they don't push each other in the same way. But I understand that whole camaraderie thing, women, you want to be around people that are like you, and in an academy that might be 95% men, it's easy to gravitate toward that 5% of women and say, hey, let's get together, just us women, and train, get together and train. And it's good on a personal and emotional level, but as far as a practical level, I wouldn't say it's the most practical. So if you're a woman, you're one of the 3 women out of 100 that watch our channel, and you're wondering if you can be a black belt, the answer is yes, definitely, you can. But you just need to approach it as if you're a small man. And you have to have that mentality, you know, like Ginny does, in that, you know, she asked me, you know, what do I need to do to get better, right? How do I beat this guy? And I tell her, well, he is a man, so. He is 200 pounds, so. He has been training longer than you, so what, right? She doesn't care. She just wants to get him. That's her thought. Now, of course, she knows now, here we are years later, that the chances of her getting him on her best day is slim to none. But that doesn't stop her from trying. And it doesn't stop her from continuing to reach, to get closer to that goal. And if you continue to reach and reach and reach, you will get to the level of black belt, and it doesn't matter who you are. Another person had asked, you know, his instructor had told him the reason why he's not progressing in the art is because he's not obsessed in the art. So he asked if that instructor was right, to a degree. So when we're talking about belts, so let's say you go from white to blue. Do you need to be obsessed to be from white to blue? No. Do you need to be obsessed to get from white to purple? Not so much. However, to get past purple, you know, once you hit purple, to continue on to purple, to ever reach your brown and black, you need to become obsessed in the art. Because once you hit a certain level, in order to get above that level, you need to have a certain level of focus. And being obsessed is just like being focused. And increasing your focus, increasing your mental resources, increasing your time resource to getting better and to getting up to that higher level. You don't just get better with time. It's simple as that, right? That's the same thing as saying, if I always walk 5 miles a day, then at some point I'll be able to run 10 miles. That's not true. You need to work up to running to 10 miles, but to do that, you're gonna need to allocate more time, you're gonna need to allocate more energy, you're gonna have to live your life in a little different way so you can do that. And the same thing is with jiu-jitsu. So to summarize, kids, black belt in jiu-jitsu? Absolutely not. Women, black belt in jiu-jitsu? Absolutely yes. For any of you other people that are aspiring to become a black belt, just realize that your commitment to the art will have to increase as you progress in order for you to continue progressing. Hey guys, I want to thank you for liking the video, if you like it, sharing it, because that's what helps us to grow the channel, is when you're sharing and liking it. What that does is it makes sure that people continue to see it show up on their feed of videos to watch. Also subscribe so you can get the new videos. Make sure you hit that bell though, on that little bell icon. And whenever Rusty puts up a new video, then you will get note of it. And if you want to help the channel out, please feel free. We've got a Patreon link where you can learn how we do things on the mat. And also we have a Teespring link if you want some comic books and t-shirts as well. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Take care now. Happy training. Bye-bye now.